I have my painting here. I've put down my tape trees, and I've painted a sky with a wet on wet wash and a ground with a wet on dry wash. My next step is to add in some details. This is totally dry, ready to go. So the first thing I'm gonna do is add some trees that look kind of like cherry trees. I'm gonna do some work to define the ground. I'm gonna add some leaves, and then I'm gonna add stuff on the ground, just things to make it a little more interesting. So first, the trees. To make the trees, I'm going to get black paint, and I'm going to make a drip of black paint. And what I'm trying to do here is make the tallest drip of paint I can without spreading it out. I think that's about as good as I'm gonna get right now. And then I'm going, I don't know how I'm gonna do this on video. Okay, what you do is you get down like this, but really you pick up your paper and you blow the paint. So that spread out a little bit. I can then make, if I want this to have a bit more branchiness, I can put another drip there, and there, I think that's good. It's got some branches. So when you see a tree from far away, you never really see all of the details of it. You might just see a little bit like this, just the major branches. I'm gonna do another one over here real quick. Here we go. So my next step is that I'm going to define the ground a bit more. It's not quite as much on this, you can really see where the ground meets the sky, but sometimes when I make these paintings, my ground and my sky from that first wash are really, you can hardly tell the difference. For this one, what I'm actually gonna do, because I see this as being kind of like a summer storm, I'm gonna actually make some brighter green up here further away. I'm gonna make my ground a little bumpy too. Sort of a brighter green further away. And then as I get closer, I want it to be kind of darker, because I'm thinking now you're kind of getting more into a wooded area. I might even bring in some brown. Get a little bit more of this bright green down here. So it's sort of just making sure that you can really tell the difference between the ground and the sky. So got that. Next I need to add leaves. In a perfect world, I'm waiting until this is totally dry before I add my leaves, because I don't want to get it all blended together. But we're gonna just do this now. So since mine is sort of a summery situation, I want to have really bright green leaves. And I'm gonna use the end of my brush like this and just tap the brush. And I'm not painting individual leaves, because you don't really see individual leaves on a tree that's far away. I'm thinking more about making kind of clumps of leaves.
At this time, we use up 113, 106, 100, 125, 134, and 122. Again, that's just 113, 106,
And sorry about that.
125,
Have a great weekend.
134, and 122.
So I've got those.
Thank you.
And then I'm going to, I think at the bottom part of my clumps, I'm gonna bring in some darker green, because that's a little bit more in the shadow. And I just paint right over top of my tape, remember, because the tape is protecting the paper. And then I think up high near the very top, I'm gonna use some really bright green, because that will give, sort of show where the light is hitting up higher. Okay, so I've got some nice leafy trees happening. So that was the third thing, and now I'm gonna add some stuff on the ground. I'm probably going to put in more than you need, because I wanna give you lots of ideas. So the first thing I almost always do is I use sort of this blue-violet color here and keep it pretty watery, and then I just paint some quick shadows for my trees, just coming from the tape diagonally to the bottom of the paper. That's my first step. I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see some of these little details because I'm working on one of my tiny paintings right now. So maybe I want to have a little path that comes from the background. That anytime you add details, it's nice to have ones that go from far away where they're really tiny, like that. And then as they get closer to you, they're gonna get way bigger. So they're gonna get way, way bigger. So that could be like a little path happening. I could also add some definition to it, and maybe it's a stone wall. Another thing I like to add in is little fences. I'm gonna have a cute little fence next to my cute little path. And it's gonna do the same thing. When it's far away, the fence posts are gonna be so tiny and close together. And then as they get closer to us, they're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm working on wet paint here, so mine is bleeding into the other paint a little bit. But it's gonna be really big until it's like right in front of us. And I connect them by just adding some quick little cross pieces. Remember, with watercolor, work quickly, and don't overthink. So then, see, I've got that. I also might do something like, I don't know, just change the color. Like maybe there's just, it's a little muddy over here, or things like that. So that now I can show that there's, you know, you could take a nice walk, and actually that tree way back there is a pretty big tree because it's super far away. So there's some details. Have fun with this, and I'm excited to see what you come up with.